Welcome back to the channel, or thanks for having a look if it's your first time viewing, and we're continuing on today with the GHQ Micro Armor Vietnam War US Infantry build. So this is 6mm or 1:285 scale, and we had our little guys on the sprues, and last video we sort of based them, made our homemade bases and put them on. This video we're going to continue with that build, and we're going to start to detail these bases to give them a bit of a in the jungle look. The first step that I do is I'll get some PVA glue, and it's just a white glue. I'll put it here, so just looks like that. And we've used it in one of the other videos, and I've shown the container. So yeah, just a white PVA wood glue, just bought from most hardware shops, and I'll just use one of my old brushes. So this isn't a store-bought brush or anything. It's just like not a hobby designated sort of brush. It's just a cheap, I actually use this one. It's just a cheap brush from a craft shop, not a designated model shop. And when I have that glue ready to go, sometimes I'll grab a texter. So I've just got a black texter here, and to save any confusion as I'm building them, I just turn them over, because I just did them on cardboard like I showed in the last video. I might just put a 1 on there. So, and for me that represents one section. So whatever works for you, for your sort of how to know where you're up to and what you've got. I just sometimes mark the bottom, so I'll just turn them over and I'll just put a 1 on them. So 1, 1, 1, and for me that means one section, one platoon. So, but I know different armies have different sort of ways that they do it. And then on one of the other bases, set of 3 bases, I might have a 2 on there, and that's 2 section, 1 platoon. Anyway, so PVA wood glue, I'll just get a bit of that on there, and I'll go around and just try and get it, sorry, bring it into the picture, just try and get it on the bases. Of course you can mount the bases, which we'll look at after, on something to do this, to make this easier. So I'll just run around the bottom of each of them. Sometimes you know, I get a bit of glue on their boots, or trying to show the boots, but I'm just trying to cover these little stands much like you would with any model you're trying to base if it comes on a base. So yeah, just a little bit of glue like that around them. I'll do another one here. And this is just one way to, sorry, my thumb's in the way, that's handy, wasn't it? This is just one way to do it. You know, there's a few different ways, and I'll do other ways, but you know, do what works for you, I suppose. We just lost a guy on that base, he just fell off. So I'll pick him up after. Sorry, my light fell down too, so that's handy, isn't it? So I'll put that guy on there after. Some of them weren't glued down very well. Anyway, that happens, so we'll pick him up and glue him on. That's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? So yeah, so I'll do that, get some glue on there, and I'll put that guy back on a sec, but I won't do it on the camera, because on video, because we're trying to get this done quickly. The next step, I'll just come out for a second. The next step is I'll just move them out of the way, and then I'll just bring in some sand. So this is just sand from outside in my garden, and what I'll do is just put these guys in that sand, just enough just to cover the base, spin them around, much like I did with the Flames of War sort of stuff. Just get a bit of sand on there. I'll grab, not the one that's missing a guy, because I'll fix that after. Another one, another base, just put some sand on there. Sometimes you might get a rock or something like that. So if I get that and I think, look, you know, that's cool, I'm going to keep that there, I'll just put a little bit more glue around it, just to, remember this is white PVA glue, so it's clear drying. So that's what I'll do. I'll just go around and do that, and after I'll do that to that base as well. I just lost the guy, so you know, yeah, that's what happens. So once I get to that stage, I'll let that dry, And lucky enough, I have a set here which is the same but another platoon, another section from that platoon, and they've had their bases sanded and it's dried. And the next step, I just get and I'll buy any sort of paint I can, as in not model paint. So, because model paint is expensive, and I think if you can get away with using something different than other than model paint. So I just bought this cheap acrylic paint just from a craft shop. So it's just a tube, and I find it's perfect for painting these bases because I don't want these bases to have that that sandy look. So we're not going for a desert sort of themed basis. We're going for that muddy jungle sort of look. So I'll just, once I've picked a colour, then I'll just go around and start painting that sand. And you can water it down with a bit of water too, that paint, if you find that it's too dark. I sometimes just water it down. And all we're trying to do is just, I'll bring it up to the camera once it's completely finished, but all we're trying to do is just cover those bases that they're on, so you don't see them. Now if I can get that in focus. And we'll look at some in a sec that have dried. So I'll go around and do that to this whole section of infantry. I'll just do another one here. And yeah, I quite often use water to help break down that colour a bit, because sometimes it's too dark, too muddy, but depends if you're sort of going summer or wet or dry season, sorry, I should say, in with things like Vietnam. So, yep, there's another one. So that's two. And the headquarters section, I'll paint that off camera. So, but you get the idea. So do that same, that's just sort of staging it, doing that same process. And then once I've done that, so I'll bring in these guys, and these guys are actually on bases. So they've had that brown paint put on them and it's dried. So that's sort of what they look like with that brown paint. And that brown paint I just paint on with just an old brush. It's not like I use a fine line model brush or anything. This is just all with just cheap little craft brushes that you can buy fairly cheaply from a craft shop. So these guys have been done. That's what it looks like once that paint's dried and you've lost that shine out of it. And then what I'm going to do next is I want to put a little bit of green through it. So for the green, zoom out, I'm just using a grass, and this is called fine turf. Sorry, I can't, the camera's in the wrong spot to actually get up, but I'll just write it down the bottom. It's fine turf from Woodland Scenics. So, and that's from a model railway shop here in South Australia, so in Australia. So I've just bought that from a railway shop, hobby train shop, and I find they do great supplies. So we go back to the PVA glue that we used before, so it's still in this lid. I've still got some there, so it's just that clear drying PVA glue. And then I just go around and randomly select some areas just to put a bit of that, or if you have somewhere, put some of that grass, or you have some areas that you think, oh, I can see a bit of his base there, I'm going to cover that up. But yeah, I sort of just make it random. And then I just get the grass. This is going to be a bit hard to show, I think, but when I have the container, I have heaps of grass, I just dip the guys into the grass. I mean, that's probably, people are probably going to have a heart attack over that, but I'll just dip the guys in the grass and then bring them out and have a look at it and go, yep, that's good enough for me. So we've got a little bit on the blue tack there, but you can also just pinch it out of it and sprinkle it on if you want to just sprinkle it on top. And once I get some grass on them, I normally get the end of the brush, and sometimes I just push it down a bit just to let it give it that little bit of a push just to help stick down. I'll tap it off, just push any off that I didn't like on there, and that's how I put that grass on them. And I'll go around and do that to all of them. So all 3 of these guys, I'll do that same method, bit of PVA glue, then some of that grass. And then once that's done, and I get them to the next stage, which is where they look like this. Where's one that's dry? Here, that's dry. Sorry. So this one's dry. There's a bit of grass in there, but he's had, I'll take him off this blue tack. He's had that grass put on him and it's dried out. And then what I'll do is go back to the PVA glue, and I'll just put just a couple spots somewhere, say 2 spots like that. Good blobs of glue. 2 good blobs of glue. And then I grab another sort of grass. I'll just move him out of the way for a second. And this one is underbrush. So it's a little bit thicker. You can see there in the container. It's just a little bit chunkier. And I get a couple bits out and just put them on the lid. That's it there. So that's a little bit chunkier. And then I bring my base back, I'll pick him up, and then all I do is grab some of that and put it on there, push it down, spin him around, get another piece of that grass, drop it in there. Once again, I'll do the same thing with the end of the paintbrush with the brush, just push it in. And if I'm worried that it's not going to stick, I'll just put a little bit more glue on it. And then I go back to the other end of the brush, and I'll just give it a push down and let that dry. And do that to all of them. And we'll have a quick look at a base here that's had that all done, all those processes. And that's our artillery observation team. And that's the process I use. And then, so you can still see part of this guy's base that's lying down, and we'll go around and just touch that up in another video. Next video we're just tidying that up. But that's how I go about priming and painting, that's how I go basing the Vietnam infantry. And thanks for watching the video, and we'll get some more videos up coming soon. We'll have a big break like we just did, so we'll get another video up really soon, heaps of builds on, and thank you very much for looking at the video. See you on the next one.